here and those online, please be aware that our meetings are publicly recorded for viewing, placed on the website. And I will acknowledge that we live, work, and play on Ehatasat, the unceded First Nations land of Ehatasat Chinnikit territory. If I could get somebody to approve the agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda.
There was one note to make on the report for the annual report. Just at the beginning, there was a typo, so it goes from committee of the whole meeting to regular meeting. It's just a typo. It doesn't affect the agenda at all. But and that's not amended either. It's just making people aware. Or did you want us to amend the title of that staff? Whoever wants to speak to that, whether it be Ms. Cheney's or
No, just a notation's fine, just so that we can note it in the minutes.
Thank you. All right, so any additions or deletions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
That is carried. Now we move on to minutes.
Motion to adopt the minutes of May 27th, 2025 regular council meeting.
Thank you for that. Errors, omissions, questions? Seeing none, all in favor of the May 27th?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's carried.
Motion to adopt the minutes of the June 3rd, 2025 special council meeting.
Second.
Thank you. Errors, omissions, questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried.
Motion to adopt the minutes of the June 17th, 2025 special council meeting.
Second.
Thank you for that. Any errors or omissions that anyone saw, or any questions on that? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. All right, so business arising from the minutes. We have UBCM provincial minister meeting appointments. As you know, UBCM happens every year. This is the village's opportunity to go and advocate for issues that are upcoming, outstanding. There's a request for direction report in front of us. I believe that yet the May 27th meeting, there were some topics identified. And so this is just to ensure that we are all in favor of what staff has presented here. And there's also, as a supplement, the meetings that had been granted from the previous years so that we knew what direction we were going. So I'll open that to council. Questions, comments? There are a couple of recommendations in the report, so we could start with that if somebody wanted. First, the first recommendation is who would be going. So Mayor Colburn, my name would be put in one of those blanks.
Yeah.
Councillor Lewis.
My house sells. I've got no guarantees that I can attend as much as I would like to.
That okay, is that what we're looking for is a commitment, really, because of the rooms and the room bookings and all those. So we've got 3, we could let 1 or 2 go, whatever, however that works, right? We could modify our reservations. But I think that in our last meeting, Councillor Janice said he would be working that week so that he was out. Councillor Lewis, you were going to try to come, and you're saying that you could be available to come, Councillor Copeland?
I will be available. I'll make it.
Counselor Deck isn't here, so we can always touch base with him via email, if one of these falls through. But if somebody wanted to make that recommendation.
Recommend that Mayor Colburn and Brian Copeland, Councillor Brian Copeland, attend the 2025 UBCM conference on behalf of the village of Zeballos, and that council provides staff with meeting and guest talks to submit the 2025 UBCM convention. Does that have to be two?
So let's do the first one, yeah.
I was afraid of.
So that was that you made the motion that Councilor Copeland, Councilor Copeland attend the 2025 UBCM conference on behalf of the village of Zeballos. Any seconders?
Second.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that very much. And we maybe won't let them go yet until we make sure, confirm with you or confirm with Councilor Deck. Does that sound reasonable to staff? All in favor? Any opposed? That is carried. So for council to provide staff with the meeting request topics to submit, I think that if we look at the report, then we could say that the it could be something to the effect as that the topics highlighted in the June 2024 report go ahead as meeting requests or something to that effect. I do think that there's Premier EV slope stability mitigation. This is well underway. It's not something that we really must do. I do know that he wanted a update on it though, so I would like to keep it included. Council's will. The legislative changes is something that we've already done, and we're just asking again because there has been no action on it. The sustainable maintenance of the local recreation sites is following the letter that we wrote. The consistent maintenance of the Forest Service Road is something that we've always asked for traditionally because of having one grader makes things much easier for consistency of the road surface.
Yeah.
And then communication improvements. I think that's a great one coming from staff because BC Hydro was just in here and Public Works had no clue they were coming. So, you know, they say they've shut the power off, but they don't give us any alerts about anything. And if something were to happen and our Public Works staff was not here by any chance, that's a disaster waiting to happen. So with that, if we're all in agreement, then that would be the resolution would be that the council say that the subjects outlined in this report can go to UBCM. I can make that resolution. That's the subject.
Taking too long.
It's okay. Maybe I'm not giving you enough time.
No, go ahead, go ahead.
That the subject outlined for Minister Eby, the Minister of Forest and BC Hydro go forward as meeting requests to UBCM for 2024.
Second that.
Thanks. Was there any others that anybody had highlighted? This is the opportunity. Lovely, you've had some time to sit on it. Seeing none, I'm going to call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That is carried. Yes. Okay. We are at the Disaster Risk and Innovation Fund. So, this was talked about our last committee of the whole meeting. We reviewed some options about submitting a grant to the Disaster Resilience and Innovation Fund. We reviewed some options in that, and this is just to ratify what we had given instruction to staff to do. Questions or comments from council? Councilor Lewis.
And this would go towards the second part, or is this just the first part of the lot 501, the main parking area?
I believe this is the main parking area, but I will defer to CAO Nelson Smith.
Okay.
There's a nod there, so let's not make him talk too much
Okay.
unless you have comments. Perfect. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked and discussed about doing it in a two-phase project.
Yeah.
The where the parking lot is first, and then the residual of the lease lots that are down on the where the fuel dock and those other businesses are. There's three recommendations in there. We could do them in seriatim, not at the same time.
Okay. Recommend that the village of Zeballos submit a full application to the Ministry of Emergency Management and Climate Readiness under their disaster resilience and innovation funding program using option 2 of Maquinna feasibility study as the basis for the proposed lot 501 remediation project.
Perfect. Thank you, Councillor Copeland. Any questions or comments on that? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That's carried.
Recommend that the village of Zeballos provide overall grant management for the proposed project.
Perfect. Thank you, Councillor Copeland. All questions? All in favor? Any opposed? It's carried. And the third.
Recommend that if the drip application is unsuccessful, staff be directed to prepare an alternate application of the strategic priorities fund for lot 501.
And second.
Thank you for that. So that means that if this falls through, that we still have another option to work on that.
Yeah.
Questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That's carried. All right, thank you, folks. We're moving on to delegations and petitions. So today we have as delegation and petition, Kimberly Wade. She is the CEO of Camcor Diving Services. She wants to speak with us about changes to parking regulations. So I'm not sure if you were given a copy of our procedures bylaw, Ms. Wade, Kimberly, or but you do have 5 minutes to present to us. When that's through, then council can ask some questions of you. Then we're not committed tonight to make a decision on that, but we'll take what you've said and ingest it. And then the CAO would let you know of any decisions coming out of further conversations. So that's kind of the rundown of how that works. Feel free to start whenever, and I'll just look at my clock, and you've got 5 minutes. Thank you for being here this evening.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. I don't think I will even be 5 minutes. So just to introduce myself, again, my name is Kimberly Wade. I am the CEO with Camcor Diving Services. I am joining you from Sydney, which is where our head office is located. I would like to start with thanking the village for all of the communication with myself and Nicole regarding the parking down at the marina there. So thank you for that. Background, Camcor has been operating on Vancouver Island for over 30 years, and our staff primarily live between the Comox Valley up to the Port Hardy area. We have been active in the Zeballos area since October of 2024, so just last year, not quite a year yet. Our presence in the area really does range anywhere from, say, 1 day a week to up to 7. So, averaging, I would say, 50% of the time of a week we are working within the area. Yeah, I'm here today to request an annual parking pass for non-resident businesses. You know, we are residents of the North Island. I understand we're not part of the village there, but the current monthly rate of $120 for the parking, you know, average, it comes out to being $14.40 a year. And if I'm being honest, it's quite steep and financially not quite sustainable. We are seeing parking in other areas in the North Island neighboring communities and I'm just speaking to a truck. I'm not speaking to a truck and trailer. So we're seeing annual parking passes is for around, you know, 120, 160 is pretty average. The other thing we've kind of come into is logistic challenges, although again, the village of Zeballos has been very lovely and helpful with finding other ways, but the office hours with our early morning starts and late day finishing our workday doesn't quite line up for coming in and signing for the pass and picking it up and paying for it. Yeah, my request aims to support the continued compliance with the parking rules and the economic contributing to the Zeballos community. And I would like to request a more affordable option. I understand again that we're not residents, but maybe there could be a higher annual rate for people like ourselves and supporting a small business, and it would be greatly appreciated. That's all I have. Hope I was under 5 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. Questions or comments from council? Do you have any big questions for? I have a question. I'm wondering what you're seeing. We did a lot of comparing with other municipalities when we started to work with this bylaw. So I'm wondering, what was it you said that you're just doing between 120 and 160 a year for non-resident business class parking in other communities? Which communities are those?
Yeah, as an example, we're paying $160 for an annual pass up in Port Hardy. So that's a significant difference, and that's for an annual pass. I mean, up there we have to buy 6 because we have a greater operation out of the Port Hardy area. As we're in Zeballos, we would just be looking for 1. But yeah, the Port Hardy Port Authority, their dock, their marina there. And I should add, we have 1 boat in your area that's parked at your marina, and we have been utilizing. I speak to it as the village. I'm not really sure exactly if there's another term for it, where we've been staying on site. I believe it with. I don't want to say their names wrong, but I think it's Rick and Diana or Diane. So we've been staying with them when we've been in town. I'm not sure if that rings a bell to anybody.
Very, very glad to hear that the village has been really communicative with you, so that that's a good thing coming out of this, that there's been lots of conversations. So thank the staff for that. I will ensure that if there are any changes that the CIO or our staff here reach out to you. We are having a discussion later on in the meeting, and so I don't know if you wanted to stay on or if you wanted just that piece of communication to come back with you.
Yeah, just communication to come back. That's great. And I respect whatever the decision is, but I just felt that this was a great opportunity just to kind of, say who we are and what we're doing. And it would be very helpful if we could have an annual pass. And, we understand that maybe that rate might not be something that of residents pay, but maybe a higher rate could be looked at. But yeah, so I'll wait to hear from you.
Thank you so much for that. Really appreciate it. And thanks for looking at all the options and having such good communication with staff.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Have a good day. Okay. Bye now.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. Okay. We are now moving on to, Oos-Aflook, Science Camp. I didn't,
You want me to try it?
this is actually, if you can guide me here, CEO Nelson Smith, I will be leaving for this. Would it go to Councillor Janice, or would it be easier for Councillor Lewis to do that as she's here in the building? Does it matter?
Thank you. No, it doesn't matter from our perspective. It can be chaired either from online or from within the office.
Okay, so, Councillor Janice, did you want to chair for this part? I have to leave and claim a, conflict as I work for the Neshama Tribal Council.
Yeah, sure.
Perfect, okay, just call me when I come back, thank you, or when I'm due back.
Is she gone?
She's gone.
Okay. So we have on the table a request for a donation for the science camp. Does anybody want to speak to this?
It's something we've donated to every year, so.
And it's a good cause. Does anybody want to make a motion towards it?
Recommend that a donation of $3.98 be given to the University of Victoria to send a child to the 2025. The science camp.
Second. Call the question?
Aye.
Right. All right. Let's get her back in. We can move along.
Thank you for your latitude with that. All right. Thank you, Councillor Janice, for doing that, appreciate it.
You're welcome.
We have, next we have an email dated, June 5th from Simon Bright about changing to the parking regulations. So there's a staff report in front of you that outlines, email included in here. Yes, the email is included in here. It was sent to me, which I then forwarded to staff with a, may we put this on an agenda? May I have permission to share this letter? So there is a report here. And in the report, recommendations are that we receive the report and we respond with clarification about the bylaw structure. So there's a couple of implications that are in there. I'm just going to open it up for questions and comments to council. This also relates to, sort of relates to the delegation that we had this evening. So questions or comments?
I'll make a comment.
Councillor Lewis first and then Councillor Denise. Go ahead, Councillor Lewis.
Yeah, how, if they don't live here, but they own property here, so that makes them a non-resident, like, because their address is someplace else, but they own property here.
No.
Okay.
To my understanding, they own property out on the water. They're not a resident of the village of Zeballos.
Oh,
But they use this in order to be able to get to their property out and back.
makes a complete difference.
That answers that question.
It sure does.
Okay, Councillor Denise?
Yeah, so I think that, we came up with this new parking bylaw and prices for a good reason. And I think that the people that are inquiring are the reason we came up with it. And because they're coming to town and leaving their vehicles in trailers and using our garbage, using our facilities. And I think we all agreed that things are fair when we laid this down. And, these people that don't live here, they have the option of coming here. And I think we just have to abide by what we've created. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. Other questions or comments from council? I'll just put in a piece that we did our homework when we did that bylaw, right? And so we did actually go to other, if they were to park in Tassus, that would be comparable. And it's just the way it works out here. I think that a lot of people have been using us for that because we haven't updated any of our fees and charges in so long that it seems completely outdated, right? It seemed to us to be completely outdated. We're comparable with, I will ask, once I've had a chance to kind of ruminate on the delegation, I know that there are other parking places to park in town, and I'm not, like, for instance, the delegation, I know this is kind of mixing apples and oranges here, so sorry about that, but like the Port Authority, CAO Nelson Smith, is that run by the town of Port McNeill? Is that a town of Port McNeill initiative, or is that as completely separate?
The Port Hardy one is run by the District of Port Hardy. I do understand that they contract that out though to a private business to run that.
Thank you for that. So it's just interesting when we did so much research on, when we had staff do so much research on it, that it winds up being different in another place. So I may do some digging into that after this meeting, but at this point, it's comparable with Tassus. It's comparable with Bow River. It's and those are the communities that are right alongside us. So. So did you want to speak to that at all, staff, about which comparables you used, or I know that those were the main ones, and I know, sorry to make you keep coming on.
One of the non-comparables is, so most of the other communities that were compared to is annual passes were available throughout. So resident, non-resident, I think Port McNeill was the only one that had a resident, non-resident rate. However, in comparing, we also have to think about available space. What is the available space in these communities? That's not something that we compared. One of the things that we looked at in preparation of this report, subsequently after the report was released, is we did a count of our total amount of space in the overflow parking lot is for about 20 vehicles. Anecdotally, between the two major lodges coming out of the community, 14 of those spaces, 14 out of 20 of those spaces are taken up just by two commercial lodges. We have 56 of our 95 annual passes are business or commercial users, which is typically long-term stays. So when staff presented the traffic parking bylaw to council, it was through the lens of Zeballos, only using other communities as touch points on what comparable, usually daily or weekly prices could be.
Perfect. Thank you for that. I appreciate that answer. Does that bring anything up for anybody else? Councillor Lewis?
We need more parking somewhere.
Absolutely, and I think that our alternatives being this is overflow here, and then the alternatives are in the campsite, and then at the ball field, right? Yeah, we're a small place. There's only so much room and so much space. Yeah, it's interesting to see. Councillor Janice, you had your hand up?
Yeah, just it was freezing up there. As an option, there's parking. There's private behind the old portable there, the old school grounds, and then there's private parking at the general store. So maybe those private enterprises would be willing to negotiate for better rates than us. Maybe we could put that forward.
I think that speaking on our own is probably the best way to go, as I'm not sure of any of the, ins and outs or rules or rates or any of any of the private holders, but, yeah, thank you for that. Okay, so, is your hand still up? Did you want another comment, or is it just still? That's Jenny. Oh, perfect. Okay, so recommendations, 2, yep.
Recommend that council receive correspondence from Simon Bright regarding parking rates as information.
Oh, there's an and in there. Sorry, you can do them both.
And that staff responds to clarification on the current bylaw structure and other available non-resident parking options.
Is there a seconder for that? Hearing, won't be on the floor if we don't second it, so that's if we're don't want to do anything with it, we can. Okay, thank you. Was there something else that you'd rather see?
Look, I got berries on my sweater and cake on my shoes.
Oh, you're not muted anymore, Councillor Janice. Right? Hi, Mateo. Okay, so the recommendation, council received the correspondence that we reply with the clarification on what we have to offer and the reasons why. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That is carried. Thank you for that good conversation. All right, we have a public works report. Oh, yes, public works report. I'm just going to assume that the CAO would say, if we have any questions, that they could go to Public Works. I know I'm taking some latitude there, but okay. Any questions or comments to Mr. Mahalik?
How's the
Councillor Lewis?
your student working out?
Anything else from anybody? Hearing none, thank you for all your hard work. I know that there's been many comments. Oh, did you have another?
It's okay. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, there's been a lot of comments that I've heard around about how the village looks, and thank you. It really does look amazing, as well as keeping all of our services running. So thank you to your department.
Thank you.
Next, we have the CAO June operations update. Questions or comments for Pete, or CAO Nelson Smith, sorry. Nothing from council? Okay, thank you. Next we have the Sophie report. So, in front of you, we have a statement of financial information, report that we do every single year, what we must do. There's remunerations and expenses and all sorts of things in here. I don't know if Ms. Jean's wanted the opportunity to speak to it or anything. So questions or comments though can be directed towards her or Ms. Frost. Is that correct? Ms. Frost, were you? Okay, perfect. So to Ms. Janice. Nobody has anything?
Just shuffle.
Okay.
You know, our total remuneration for elected officials.
And I think that'll come up this year for the next council too. It's usually what happens, I
Yeah.
think, is we'll either amend or not for the next council that comes in.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, then it's theirs, they can do whatever they want with it, but it's nice to give them a, you know, at least a variable, something to work towards, to know what they're getting into. I have one comment, so just so you know, CAO Nelson Smith, we had a conversation at the SRD the other day, and the SRD is doing a fully interesting, transparent exercise. So they may be wanting more information. I think they're gonna beef up their Sophie update for next year, their Sophie report for next year. So they may want more information from us. My comment is always, any information you need is available on the website, but they may reach out to you. So if they do, you're not blindsided by that. I think we're just trying to be really, really transparent with the members of the regional district about things like expenses and having a little more detail put in there. So that was kind of the direction from board. So just so you know, that's happening. Anything else on that? I think we have a recommendation.
Recommend that the 2024 statement of financial information be approved.
Second.
Nothing else on that. I'll call the question. All in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. Oh, coincidentally, so this is next we have the 2024 annual report. At the top, it says request for decision staff report. Please change that to regular meeting instead of committee of the whole when we get to that. When you're going through the minutes. This is something else that we do every single year. It provides a comprehensive review of our financials. It includes an overview of what we've done during the year. I hate doing the letter for this because I do it in June and I have to go back to the entire year before because this is for 2024. But here it is in front of us. So it's looking for an adoption.
Motion that the 2024 annual municipal report adopted.
Yes.
Questions, Kyle, to the CAO Nelson Smith?
Thank you. The public should have an opportunity to speak prior to adoption.
Perfect, thank you for that. I'm sorry about that, I missed it. I'm gonna table your motion for a second. This is the opportunity for the public to comment also on this report. Excuse me for moving ahead too fast. Was there anyone who had anything to say in the gallery about our annual report? Hearing none, we'll take that as the question has been asked to the public. Is this a report that they can, make, that they can comment on via letter as well?
Thank you. Yes, yeah, under the community charter, we've, yeah, it's been released for over 2 weeks and available for public comment and feedback.
And has any been received?
Verbally, nothing written.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for that. So now I'll put your motion back on the table that it be adopted. So that was moved by Councillor Lewis, seconded by Councillor Copeland. Any further questions? I'm hoping, can we next year, I know I keep moving deadlines on you. Can we move the draft? I know it says it has to be, by I think it's the 14th, it has to be released. Can we move it into a draft, and can it be made available for the committee of the whole previous next year, or no? No? Cool. Okay, awesome. If that aligns with, it might not align with dates, if it can align with dates. I know this year it would have been just like a couple days earlier, so, just in a draft form for us. Okay, the motion, that it be all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That is carried. Where are we now? We're all the way on page.
Lost myself.
Yes. We are all the way on page 110. And that is the municipal finance authority loan authorization. This is regarding the backhoe and the borrowing of money. So let's see. Purchase. So they just require some specific verbiage on this in order for us to proceed. Any questions or comments? And Ms. Frost is here to answer any questions if you should have them. Ms. Frost, did you want to speak? Yes, I see your hand up.
Thank you, Mayor and Council, through the CAO. I just wanted to note that on the recommendations, it says that the Council of the Village of Zeballos authorized up to 150. That should be 175. That's what we were asked. I'm sorry about that. I just realized that's what it said. To be borrowed under Section 175 of the Community Charter from the Municipal Finance Authority for the purposes of purchasing a backhoe. Just wanted to make sure that Council recognized that change. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So for the recommendation, and we can do this all together.
Recommended council of the Village of Zeballos
In addition.
that in addition to the March 25th, 2025 resolution, council also resolves that the council of the Village of Zeballos authorizes up to 175,000 be borrowed under Section 175 of the Community Charter for the Municipal Finance Authority for the purpose of purchasing a backhoe, and that the loan be repaid in 5 years with no rights of renewal.
Got a second for that?
Second.
Ms. Frost, did you have anything further? Or was that your hand still up from before? Perfect. Thank you so much.
Sorry about that, Mayor. I think I thought I turned it off, and I guess I put it back on.
No problem at all. Just wanted to make sure that everybody had all the info they needed. Questions or comments? I'm just so very grateful that we do have the MFA that give us such great rates when we're doing things like this, so we're not paying a ton of interest in it. I think it really helps local governments doing things like this, which, you know, making our fleet better, which really hadn't been touched in quite some time. So that's all I had to say. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That one's carried. We're moving right along here, folks. On to bylaws. So we have the development procedures bylaw. This is our third reading. So there's a staff report, the bylaw in a whole, and a development application in your package. This is third reading, so we've been through this a couple of times before. We're establishing outlines and policies through our OCP that we just recently done, which we had a lot of public buy-in on and comment from. So is there questions about the bylaw, or can we move on to third tonight?
Recommend that the Zeballos Development Procedures Bylaw number 564-2025 receive third reading.
And I second it.
All righty. No questions about anything in here. I think we've done a pretty thorough job. I will say again, coming into the 21st century may be hard for some that are used to having no rules or no permits and none of those to come to go through. But we are moving into the 21st century, and this is a matter of business when it comes to any other municipality in the province. We're not trying to make things difficult. We're trying to make things equal for all. No comments from anybody. So that's on third. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That's carried. We have a request for support. This comes out of, I think, our last committee of the whole meeting, possibly. We had Cindy Rogers come and speak with us. So this is a formalization then. She had a delegation to our last meeting and talked about the opportunity to, you know, recognize the new chunk of territory that we live on, create some healing and some ownership from the, you know, kids that go there. And so this is the ratification of that. We all seem to be in agreement last meeting. But if somebody wanted to make the recommendation, great. If you wanted to have more discussion about it, I'm open to that. I welcome that. Councillor Lou or Janice.
Hello. I would kind of like to know what name they're looking at before we buy in totally. So that's just my 2 cents, but like it's kind of hard to make support when we don't know what it's actually going to be.
I hear that. I absolutely do. I think that this is really a premature step. I don't think she's coming to us with an applicable name change. You know what I mean? I think that the purpose of this is to see if there is appetite, so that when it does come in the end, that she's not requesting or she's not putting forward something and then there's no buy-in from the community. I also think that in the recommendation that it should be changed. I think the resolution should be changed to identified by First Nations communities. I don't think that we should be there isn't one First Nation community in this area. There are two Nuu-chah-nulth communities, and so I do think that should be changed. But I could make a. I think that this is a starting point, is what I'm trying to say, to see if there's any bulk from community first. Councillor Denise.
Sure, I agree with you. I thought about that too, regarding the three communities that exist, that this school services. And what would be really nice to join the three communities, I mean, ZES or Zeballos Elementary Secondary School is super general. It's not that exciting, but I would like to see a name that kind of brings the three communities together. Now, I haven't thought of it yet, though, so I don't have anything to deliver. But that, I think, would be best for what Miss Rogers is actually looking for, you know, to unite the three communities. And so I'm totally in support of that happening. But I'd like to see it, the ideas out there first before we throw support at it. I thought at that meeting we had with Miss Rogers that she understood that we were okay with it. So I don't know. I don't see what this letter is going to change. Thank you.
Thank you for that. You know, and I don't know how this is gonna come about. I don't know if there will be a committee formed, if there will be you know, surveys done. I don't know how that process works. I would ask a question from the CAO. Does changing support to support in principle do anything? With the caveat that we were interested in learning more about how that name change would come about and how the decision would be made. Or is that something that could be in the letter? How should we proceed if we have concerns about, you know, what that's gonna be?
I thank you, Mayor. I think definitely changing to support in principle, you know, pending the development of a name supported by mayor and council.
Yeah.
Something to that effect. Some changes to the letter to highlight the support, but also show that there's a little deeper investment in what that name change could be.
And could that be made out of this resolution if we changed it to support in principle, endorsing a proposed name change, and then include in the letter something like interested to see if there's community or survey or what the community outreach would look like? Would that be enough to capture that, to do kind of a staff action to do, you know, to say we're really interested in learning more, we want to be part of that process, and you know, and then changing it to support in principle and including First Nations communities? Is that enough? Okay. So from that conversation, any further comments, questions?
Just for the recommendations, reading out the support in principle, endorsing a proposed name change.
Endorsing a proposed name change.
To the Zeballos Elementary School. Now is it, how do we word it, or just leave it at that point, or we do First Nations communities,
Right?
and village, or the village?
I think probably if we just put a communities, and then a staff direction would be to, like, you know, say that please clarify in the letter that we're interested in the process as well. You know,
So just First Nation communities.
yeah. Yeah, so support in principle endorsing a proposed name change. Well, I can give it to Ms. Janice in writing.
Thank you.
Just so it's clear. So I would actually do that. I would actually make that resolution recommendation. The council directs staff to issue a letter of support in principle, endorsing a proposed name change to a new Chelmsford name as identified by First Nations communities. And that we are interested in the process of what that looks like. That we're interested in participating in that process.
Participating, perfect.
I don't have a second for that. Perfect, thank you, second. So, yes.
Yeah, as identified.
That's why the caveat on there, that's why the conversation, we're really interested in participating and what that process will look like. Because at this point, we don't have any information, right?
Other than the fact that they're.
Yeah, right. And that's not even for sure. I don't know that that is a for sure thing. She's just kind of, I believe, just putting feelers out there and seeing if that's something that anybody is interested in. So, my hope would be that that would come back to all the communities and kind of a form of a survey or a committee or a something, right? And so that's,
Thank you.
how does that sound with everybody? We've got it first moved and seconded.
Sounds good.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Carried. Councillor Jack has requested a leave of absence. If they, for personal reasons, after an alert to, there was conversation with us as council as well, but it needed to be formalized. So that's what this report is in front of you. If you miss more than, and this is, 90, what is it, 3 meetings, 3 regular meetings or 90, I can't remember what the language is in it. In the community charter. But this is the authorization. So if somebody wants to make that recommendation.
And that council authorized the leave of absence for Councillor Ron Deck from council duties effective immediately and continuing until September 29th, 2025 in accordance with section 1255 of the community charter.
And I said.
Questions, comments? Hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. So we now have thanks folks, that was good. We have a public question and comment period. We have 2 people in the gallery. I'll open it up for questions or comments. We don't necessarily have to answer today. We can always get back to you. You know the drill. If we don't have immediate answers, we will point you in the right direction usually. Questions, comments? Yes,
Ann Thomas.
thank you.
Do I have to say my address?
You should, yes, please.
Presently 121 Maquinna.
Okay.
Sorry, 2 quick comments. The parking for Simon Bright. Is there any confirmation that it's the same price as Gold River or Cassis? Because that would be a good way of refuting his comments, because he does pay land tax. And part of that land tax is Strathcona Regional District, which comes here as well. That's the only thing. If you don't know what they really charge in Cassis or Gold River, we're not actually giving them a comparable, correct? My second thing was the school name. Are we not a 3 community? Because you just cut out any child that's not native by saying the New Chatlets or native communities. You didn't say non-native. So do we want to cut that part out of our school? Because by not having them as part of that community, we're not including them. That's all.
Thank you for that. I don't, that wasn't the intention of that's why that.
Okay.
Anything from anyone else in the community?
Tonight.
Okay. Thank you for that. I will say that Tassos and Gore's, parking fees are available on their website, just like ours are here as well. So,
I didn't ask that. I asked.
yeah, no,
Looked at me.
yes.
I
Yes.
should have a question on the fast. Marta Welch and I live in Zeballos at 163, and I'd like to know how come some people can get around parking on our, right off our, just on the edge of our roads, and they don't even have license plates on their cars.
I believe. Okay, I'm not even gonna answer that. I'm not gonna answer that. I believe that roadways are in our CMP.
Stalled out on my end.
Here too.
Here too.
Okay, folks, you know what I'm looking for?
Yeah, council in camera under community charges section 91.
Oh, shoot, I did that backwards.
Labor
Oh,
relations.
shoot,
or
why do you-
Other employee regulations.
Do I have a seconder?
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Any opposed?
Aye.
Carried. Now, public question period, which has already happened. Sorry, I buried the agenda. I take an adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. Sorry.